Magandang araw mga ka-aerial defense, may ibabahagi na naman ako sa inyo dahil ngayong araw na ito ay may bagay tayong pag-uusapan, actual video at totoong pangyayari sa agawan ng sundalong Pinoy at China, inilabas na, pero bago tayo magpatuloy wag mo muna kalimutan mag-like, share, and subscribe, paki-follow at like muna ng aming page na nasa description na ang link. Matutunghayan ninyo ngayon ang buong kaganapan at paglalahad ng isang senador sa nangyaring agawan noong sa West Philippine Sea, matapos nga maibalita na nang haras na naman ang mga Chinese doon at pilit ito itinanggi ng China. Subalit sa pagsiwalat ng isang senador ay napatunayan na totoong nang haras ang China doon. Panoorin po ninyo.
The last day of our session to discuss the pressing issue in the South China Sea and the West Philippine Sea dispute. The issue is an urgent concern and its impact affects the lives of our most valuable Filipinos, kababayans in the coastal communities, regional security, and the rules-based international order as enshrined in the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS. Moreover, developments in the SCS, WPS, have short and long-term implications on Philippine national security, especially at a time of rising prices due to geopolitical upheavals, including COVID-19 pandemic and the ongoing war in Ukraine. Mr. President, initially, on China concerns, Beijing remains dedicated to using gray zone, quote-unquote, gray zone tactics in the West Philippine Sea to advance its illegal claims without sparking a conflict actions that push the boundaries of acceptable behavior, undermine international law. Ito po yung pag-asa, Mr. President. This is existing. I'm showing that on the screen. And raise the chances of untoward incidents. These gray zone tactics include swarming activities within the territorial seas of our 9 stations in the WPS. This is most especially seen in the Pag-asa Islands, a high tide elevation with the 12 nautical mile territorial sea over which the Philippines has full sovereignty, where the China Coast Guard, you can see the pictures, and the Chinese maritime militia vessels are observed staying in the area. China is becoming more brazen in its actions toward the Philippine maritime forces in the West Philippine Sea, from aggressive maneuvers by China Coast Guard, CCG vessels in Baho de Masinloc, to interfering in the provision of humanitarian supplies to government personnel abroad, the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayung and Shoal. Beijing's assertiveness continues despite numerous diplomatic protests over such activities. I'm glad that some officials of our Department of Foreign Affairs are here present as I speak. Proof of China's growing assertion was seen in November 2022 when the CCG, China Coast Guard, interfered in the retrieval of space debris which fell within the Pag-asa Islands territorial sea near Pag-asa Clay 1. Ayun po yung larawan, Mr. President. Clay 1 is just 1.9 nautical miles from the Pag-asa Islands, manned by our gallant officers from the Army, the Air Force, the Navy. They are also here in this plenary hall, Mr. President. Philippine personnel initially detected the space debris some 800 yards west of the main station of Pag-asa 1. A Philippine team was dispatched to retrieve the debris which drifted near Pag-asa Clay 1 and was in the process of towing the remains. Ayun po yung litrato, Mr. President, of a rocket when a boat from China Coast Guard 5205 swiftly and deliberately interfered. The China boat came within 20 to 30 yards of the Philippine rubber boat and forcibly cut the towing line of the space debris. Pinutol po nila yung lubid. Nakikita po natin, Mr. President. I'd like to show this video. It has never been seen before. It has never been seen even in television, in news, Mr. President. Can we enlarge and have the audio? Ayan po yun, Mr.
When we
President.
place the audio, we'll have them put the audio. I've seen that video. It's very important that the audio is on.
Can we have the audio?
Yes, I would like to let our colleagues know. I think this is the first time you make this video.
Nakikita po natin, Mr. President.
Sir,
Hihila po
hila
po sa likod yung debris.
Wow! What are you doing? I asked for not earlier. You didn't give the not.
So this is an actual footage, Mr. President, of that incident last month, Mr. President. The China boat, as I've said, came within 20 to 30 yards of the Philippine rubber boat and forcibly cut the tubing line of the space debris.
Nila yung tali.
See how dangerous
Pinawi nila
the
ulit.
incident was, Mr. President. Baka rubber boat lang po tayo. Ang lalaki ng kanilang mga
Kawawa yung mga tao natin.
Mr. President, Chinese diplomats denied that the incident occurred. They denied that the incident occurred, claiming that a friendly consultation took place. But the footage and reports clearly show that CCG assertively took the debris in the area well within the Philippine territory. The Department of Foreign Affairs, again, some officials are here, issued a note verbal to China to clarify the matter as the incident was highly provocative. These actions, along with the other gray zone activities, are slowly but surely eroding Philippine sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea and harming the country's strategic position. Mr. President, yan po ay isang larawan ng space debris. Mr. President, my colleagues, this is not the first time that Chinese rocket debris has fallen within Philippine territory or territorial waters. On October 6 and November 7 this year, similar rocket debris were recovered in Calintaan, Occidental Mindoro, and Busuanga, Palawan. Even earlier, Mr. President, in July 2022, Chinese rocket debris was also recovered off Occidental Mindoro. This debris, as shown in the picture, fell in Philippine archipelagic waters of Palawan and Mindoro Occidental and within the Pagasa Islands territorial sea, where Clay 1 is located. Significantly, the Chinese Coast Guard retrieval of the debris of Clay 1 is a gross violation of Philippine sovereignty, as Beijing has no jurisdiction over Philippine territorial sea. Further, CCG's interference in the retrieval also violated the right of innocent passage under the 1982 UNCLOS, yet another incident in a long and sustained record of repeated violations of international law. Lastly, China's actions demonstrate that Beijing does not recognize the 2016 arbitral award, which establishes a 12 nautical mile territorial sea in the Pagasa Islands. The rocket debris retrieved bear the markings of China's Long March 5B rocket. I'm showing the picture right now. Incontrovertible proof of the provenance of the remains recovered in Occidental Mindoro, Palawan, and in the Pagasa Islands. China acceded to the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, and Beijing must request the return of space debris which fall in the territory of other states, like the Philippines, like Pagasa Islands in the Philippine case, rather than merely seizing the same. These repeated violations, Mr. Senate President, my dear colleagues, is a breach of Philippine territorial integrity, and the irresponsible rocket launches are scattering debris that can threaten Filipinos who are plying the West Philippine Sea and our archipelagic waters. These incidents cannot be allowed to continue, as they not only can potentially harm Filipino fishermen, but the Chinese Coast Guard actions also violate Philippine maritime rights, as enshrined in the UNCLOS and the arbitral ruling award, Mr. President. In this, Mr. Senate President, my dear colleagues, we are on the right side of international law. And gross violations like this cannot be allowed and should not be allowed to continue. Before I end this speech, Mr. President, let me stress that it is high time that the government prioritizes South China Sea, West Philippine Sea, as the Philippines has become the laggard among the claimants. A status that threatens not only the country's sovereignty, but also the livelihoods of thousands of Filipino fishermen and the nation's energy and food security. With one strident voice, Mr. President, let us continue to denounce the brazen intrusions into our maritime territory and do all within our power to assert our rights. The rule of law is behind us with the 2016 arbitral ruling. Let us continue to strengthen and solidify our strategic alliances towards this end. For at the end of the day, Mr. President, this is not a fight not only for territory, the environment, and for invaluable resources. It is about taking a stand against oppression, which is sadly increasing in many parts of the world. Mr. President, we shall not surrender quietly to an invasion of our free and democratic nation. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Para sa mas madaming update tungkol sa ating defense, abangan lamang ang aking mga bagong video. Para naman sa mga gusto magpa-shoutout, mag-comment lamang po at share, paki-follow at like muna ng aming page na nasa description na ang link. Pwede ka ring manalo ng pera or load dito kapag ikaw ay naging top fan nito at napili. Huwag mo na rin kalimutan mag-like, share, and subscribe. Pindutin mo na rin ang bell para updated kayo sa aking mga video. Maraming salamat po.